Modern healthcare systems rely on a highly interconnected web of data, but that connectivity creates a hidden fragility. One error in how that data is stored or routed quickly cascades into a total structural failure. This visualization scales a specific number, $7.42 million. That was the average cost of a single healthcare data breach in 2025. It is a financial impact that dwarfs the typical IT operational budget of most hospitals. On top of the immediate breach costs, organizations in 2026 face severe federal fines. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, the federal law protecting sensitive patient health information, now levies penalties for non-compliance reaching up to $219 million annually. The choice of a hosting environment determines whether a healthcare organization survives or becomes a headline for the next massive data breach. It is an existential financial imperative. When patient data is compromised, we often imagine a highly sophisticated hacker breaking through firewalls in a darkened room. But this percentage breakdown chart contrasts that myth with the reality. Notice this 82% block. That represents the actual proportion of healthcare breaches caused by third-party failures or simple cloud misconfigurations. Complex cyber attacks make up only a tiny sliver of the problem. These misconfigurations are often simple, overlooked errors. A developer might leave a database exposed to the public internet or commit an API key, a secret string used to authenticate software, directly into a visible code repository. Human error during manual infrastructure setup is the true root cause of the healthcare industry's massive security liability. The entire regulatory framework centers around protecting electronic protected health information, or EPHI. This term covers sensitive core assets like medical records, patient histories, and insurance details. Looking at this blueprint, we map out what a compliant environment requires. First, strict encryption for data at rest and in transit. Second, role-based access control limits access by job function. Third, automated audit trails track every interaction. Finally, high availability failovers ensure disaster recovery. Federally, these interlocking systems are strictly required, but attempting to build and maintain this exact architecture manually makes the human errors that cause breaches almost inevitable. Historically, engineering teams faced a difficult choice. They either took on the immense risk of building these secure environments manually, or they paid high premiums for managed hosting black boxes that offered zero flexibility. Deploying infrastructure directly inside an organization's own cloud account replaces the locked, opaque box typical of legacy managed hosting. It provides full transparency while maintaining strict security. DevPanel is the platform driving this transition. It allows engineering teams to standardize security policies automatically across all their development, staging, and production environments. DevPanel utilizes built-in CI/CD pipelines. CI/CD stands for Continuous Integration and Continuous Deployment, a method for automating the release of new software. Combined with automated secret management, the manual configuration tasks that lead to leaks disappear. By automating the deployment pipeline, DevPanel targets the human errors responsible for 82% of all healthcare data breaches. We can see this in practice by looking at one of the most daunting engineering tasks, migrating legacy healthcare systems into modern cloud environments. The Kaplan Early Learning Azure migration case study provides a clear example of how this automated approach works for enterprise-scale infrastructure. Kaplan utilized infrastructure as code technologies, specifically Terraform and Helm. These are tools that allow developers to manage and provision servers using configuration files instead of manual settings. Using these tools, The organization transitioned their entire legacy setup into a fully HIPAA-aligned cloud architecture in a matter of weeks instead of months. Adhering to strict federal compliance no longer requires engineering teams to sacrifice their deployment speed or operational agility. For years, healthcare startups and providers were blocked by the exorbitant premiums charged by specialized compliance hosting vendors. DevPanel disrupts that pricing model. Teams can start deploying compliant architecture immediately because the DevPanel Community Edition is entirely free. Contrast that free base entry with the $250 per hour starting rate of traditional compliance engineering consulting. The economic value of intelligent automation becomes obvious. In 2026, the focus of HIPAA hosting has moved from simply renting secure server space to deploying intelligent automated infrastructure. Utilizing platforms like DevPanel allows healthcare organizations to keep patient data secure, reduce their operational risk, and finally focus their resources on building life-saving digital tools.